Good morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. And we believe the truth will set you free, and it's not always pleasant. Good morning, Melody. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just wonderful today. It's Friday, TGIF.
Yay!
And it's been an exciting week, and lots of things are going on. And
not necessarily good things.
No. Makes it a long week.
The American people are omnibusted today. We are omnibusted. I assume the president's going to sign up.
Well,
foolish bill.
Hold on. There was a report. There was a report that he might veto.
Yes. I tweeted him yesterday and today. Veto the bill. Veto the bill. You think he listened?
Well, I think he listened to my 4 o'clock program yesterday, so that's what I
thought.
Really?
Well, if he's listening to anybody out there, nobody liked it. Now, I don't have a list of the senators. They voted that. You know, it's amazing how fast they can move when they want to.
The problem I have with him threatening the veto isn't because of the amount of money. It isn't because of, a lot of things in there. It was because of DACA. So, I guess if you have to pick something,
I'll take what I can get.
Can't
just veto one section. So, I want him to veto it, and because they were slapping him in the face with this crazy thing, and all Americans. And I have a list of the 100. Let's see. Here it is. It says 90 Republican members of the House voted against the bill, compared to 77 dissenting Democrat votes. It says in total 145 Republicans and 111 Democrats voted in favor of the bill, and I have a list. I have a list of the representatives that voted. I guess it's the ones that voted for it. And I could not get a list of the senators yet. I tried. That's one reason I was late coming in the studio. I was trying to get a list. But I couldn't find one just yet. It's there, I know. They have to have it there, but I couldn't find it. But I want names.
What else? I mean, no.
Well, that's it. We're done today.
All right. It's open mic Friday, right?
That is. I have some really sad news, and I'm serious about this. This is really sad news. The Maryland shooting, the female victim has been declared brain dead, and they are removing her from life support. 16-year-old girl. She was critically wounded by that shooter. Her name is Melissa Wiley, and so that is really sad. She's been, I guess they've been hanging on with her all week, and they're going to remove the life support, and that's just really sad. Really sad. You think of the 16-year-old with the life ahead of her, and it was just snatched away by some angry, demented, misdirected youth. And anyway, that I really did have some sad news on that, and I wanted to.
Was there?
I want everyone to remember that family.
Did you ever find out whether there was a relationship between the shooter and her?
I have not. I have not. And so I would assume there was some, but it never really came out and said that.
And you know what? What's really sad is you don't hear media talking about this young lady. But they're still parading the Florida, and I'm not taking it away, but they're still parading, and the Florida school is in the news and everything like this. But and this
of
young
course
lady
she's gone. Her life has been snatched away stolen from her, and the young man is dead. And they're not going to cover that because it was a guard of the school, a resource officer of the school that took him out. They don't want to know that.
They don't want to know
So they're not going to talk about that. Had he not been taken out, how many more lives would he have taken that day? You don't know. We'll never know. Was she a direct intended victim, or was he just out to shoot people? Anyway.
Yeah, no word about him or
no.
Just so very
no.
sad.
And I saw some, and I didn't print it off. I saw some idiot talking head relating this school rally that they had, which I would call more of a riot, and it was put together by the Democrats as the Vietnam protests. It was right up there, ranks right up there with the Vietnam protests. I'm thinking these people are
good grief.
Well, you know that President Trump lost a lawyer on his team because he said President Trump. Well, I guess they didn't really say, but all the talking heads are assuming, which sometimes that's not true. That they just he wasn't on board with how Trump wanted to do this, and he wasn't listening to him. Of course, it's not just one attorney. There's a whole panel of them that are advising the president, and this one didn't go along with that, is what we're being told, but I don't know if that's true or not. But he did resign. And has he been replaced? He has, hasn't he?
Who can keep track of him?
Well, I could be mistaken. So listeners, if you saw last night who replaced this attorney, but I thought, and I don't see how they could do that, but I thought the female attorney that's representing this FBI guy that knows all about the Uranium One deal, that did all the background check, and they've tried to shut him up, and he's been worried about his health. I thought that I heard that she and another attorney were taking the place of this guy, but I could be wrong because I just barely saw that last night. So if anybody knows, give us a call at 717-300-1218. It is Open Mic Friday, is it not? 717-300-1218 is the number to call.
Well, okay. Are we supposed to be doing a talk show radio?
I think we're supposed to be doing a talk show. Melody has a good friend having a baby, so she's just a little bit distracted. I did my show when my son was having a baby, and they're sitting there texting me and sending me pictures. They'd actually had the baby while I was on the air. It's like, oh my God.
Make sure the listeners know it's not me having the baby.
It's not her having a baby.
And it's one of my employees, and so we're all excited for her. And
yes, and new babies are so much
fun. She texts me. Yeah, it does. It like becomes our baby too.
Absolutely.
She texted
You've
me
been with her all the way through the pregnancy. You watched her throw up. You watched her. Oh, sorry.
So best wishes to Jasmine, and hopefully she texted me at 7:00 this morning, so everyone is waiting to hear something. So anyway, what else is going out there? But you
told me you had lots of news, so why are you asking me? I guess you have the Citigroup announces gun control requirements for their clients and small businesses. Did you know that?
Well, no. I saw the headlines
yesterday. Just care about that one. All right.
I mean, no, I do.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's just more socialism being thrown at us, and our rights and our liberties taken away. Chip, 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 chip. Chipping away at it.
What was the deal on that? I didn't get the whole...
It says the Citigroup, the fourth largest bank in the United States, has announced it will no longer do business with clients that do not meet a host of progressive gun control requirements, none of which were mandated by federal law. Bans on bump stocks and high-capacity magazines have been a key demand for progressive gun control advocates, but whereas the usual method of activism has been to lobby representatives for change via the democratic process, Citigroup is now imposing the change unilaterally without asking their clients or customers. Citigroup promised to respect the decision of clients that chose not to follow their guidelines, and work with them to transition their business away from Citi.
Well, I mean, that's kind of new, but yet there were banking laws passed with the regulations, and maybe
what was that called? They had a name for that.
And they couldn't do business, or I don't know if they have options or they couldn't, but gun-related businesses, and a lot of like the gun shows and stuff like that, we're having difficulty finding banks.
And there was
cash related.
Gun control was only one on the list, but there were other things. And
the marijuana, the marijuana, a lot of it was cash business.
And they were trying to get Congress to do away with that. Of course, Congress never even looked at it, so they didn't care.
Yeah, and so I don't know if it's in relationship to that, if this is something new, and Citibank is now just now coming out and enforcing, because I don't think it was actually enforced onto the banks at that point in time. They could pick and choose. So perhaps now Citibank is using that regulation in order to pursue it to a more.
They are going to bully.
Yes.
They are going to bully.
Yes.
That's exactly what they're going to do over your Second Amendment.
Yes, absolutely. But good news today, gold is up $21 today at $1,350. Silver is up 30 cents today at $16.74. Platinum is up $7, which still is a good buy for platinum because it's still lower than gold, and historically it's sold for greater than gold. Bless you. The U.S. dollar today, pressure on that, down 0.23 at 89.59. Of course, crude oil is up 0.82 at 65.12. You could probably take anything that's going on in news to say that it's having an impact on the markets, and of course the prices of gold and silver. Yesterday we had a big drop in the Dow, 700 points. Everybody was talking about trade, and I think trade was just I really do believe it was just a distraction. I think it really does come down. We had McMaster's being replaced by Bolton. I think that's big news. I think Mr. Trump is acquiring a lot of war. I mean, if you look at their records, you look at their statements, they're were, supportive of the Iraqi war. They don't like Iran. They want to pull the agreement from Iran. And, and the budget's a big deal. Gold is a monetary metal. So yes, you have a very big deal coming on with with what we're experiencing with the debt. So it is, I think, ultimately, this is all about our debt. I think ultimately it's all about the dollar. And I think this is what is impacting the markets. Everything else is just flutter. Everything else is just, it can give us an idea where we're headed into the future, and that future really isn't bright. If he doesn't sign this bill, and I get it when everybody says, let the government shut down and so forth, and, we know what happens. We've been here 3 times, in the past year, and, we've, been at this place, before when they shut government down. There is very little impact initially and so forth. But we really are at a critical point because I think shutting down the government now is a little bit different than the past. You didn't have trade arguments going on to where other countries are threatening to do things and so forth. So, they could, it's just another added piece to where it could dampen the confidence, and they could continue to, play with the debt that they hold to the United States. We have China, and they're the 26th of March. Well, they'll be effectively trading futures with oil backed by their being purchased by the yuan. So again, it puts pressure on our U.S. dollar. So there's a lot of things going on, but what I believe ultimately it all comes back to our fiat currency and our debts.
Absolutely. And we are headed into a break. Your calls are welcome. It is Open Mic Friday, 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann, we'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned to listening to Power Talks. It's Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we're going to, Melody told me she's got a special for us today.
I do.
A Friday special.
A Friday special. I did
One
replace.
Day special only, just like J.C. Penney's.
I did replace reprice. You got me off. I'm thinking you got me going in a different direction. You thought. I did have to reprice the silver package. The $50 face value of 90% silver. That package is now $665. When I initially priced that package of 90% silver, silver was trading at $16.20 cents. So it's up over 40 cents since I did that. So I did have to reprice it, and it has gone up. So $665 for $50 face value, 90% silver. And these are dimes. These are brilliant uncirculated dimes. So I had a lot of requests to get dimes, and so I did. So now I have them. So we got 90% silver, brilliant uncirculated dimes, $665 plus shipping. If you purchase 2 of those, which would be $100 face value, we will include the shipping cost for you. So it's a great package. Give us a call at 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188.
Awesome. Now, it was quarters earlier in the week.
It was quarters?
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
I just wanted to keep my head on straight. So, all right. Well, we've been talking about this omnibus bill, and we've been talking about all the things that are going on, and we were talking on the break. You said that
before we go any further, unless you wanted to finish your thought.
No. Nope. Go ahead.
We do have a caller.
Oh, okay.
We have Joe in Arkansas joining us this morning. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, no problem.
What you got?
Okay.
What you got for us?
What I wanted to comment on was your report on what Citigroup is doing. And this is an example of New World Order operation. Of course, the New World Order is an alliance of the biggest international banks and corporations that figure they have so much monopoly power now and so much money that they can take control of things and that they can take the governance of the world away from the governments, which are supposed to be represent the interests of the people. And so this is an example of something that they're doing. And I read a very good book one time by a farmer from Colorado. It was called War, Central Planning, and Corporations. And what he said was that in the beginning of the country, it was difficult to start a corporation. You had to get a special charter from Congress. You had to go before Congress, explain what you wanted your corporation to do, explain that it was going to be and serve the interests of the American people, and they would give you a charter that was good for 20 years. Then after 20 years, it would come up for renewal again. You had to go before Congress again and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the people's elected representatives that your corporation was serving the public good. And then if they were convinced and satisfied by your presentation, then they would renew your charter for another 20 years. And that's how Andrew Jackson was able to kill the second bank of the United States, because his charter came up for renewal while he was president. And and I've also heard somebody explain it to me very well one time. They said that God creates man, man creates government, government creates corporations. So these corporations should, only operate under the permission of the people's elected representatives in the government, and what they do should be, subject to complete control by the government, and the government should cancel their corporate charter. The government should not allow them to operate as corporations anymore and have the special privileges that corporations have if they do not serve the public interest. If they do not, and so any corporation operating in the United States, what the people should see is that it should be under control of the government. And if it's not operating in such a way as to further the existence of this free republic as we would want it to be, if it is acting in a treasonous sort of way against the public interest, as this corporation is doing, then the government should take its corporate charter away, not allow it to operate as a corporation anymore, dissolve it, because the corporation is the government's creation. And so that's, I believe, the principles of how this ought to operate, which the people should be aware of and thinking about and hopefully talking about and understanding more and more, because it's only this kind of understanding on the part of the people that can stop this kind of thing, because as long as the people go on thinking that, well, these are private businesses, they can do whatever they want. No, they're not private businesses. They're, special entities created by government and should be under control of government. And our government is supposed to represent the interests of the people. Our government is supposed to be the elected representatives of the people. So that's how I wanted to comment on that and try to inject some principled thinking into this kind of thing instead of just observing what's going on.
Well, I agree. I think you're right that they are bullying. They've got the money, and they think, well, we don't, if we can't get it done legally, in quotes in the air, legislatively, then we'll mandate it another direction. And yeah, I think like with Citigroup, they're just going to bully us until we have to cave or.
Well, we've had other businesses. It's the same as with Walmart. It's the same with, these other companies. You had Dick's that came out and said that they were going to do their own regulating and so forth. And, Joe is right. It's, but you don't ever hear anyone talking about it. You don't hear anyone really, you don't hear, Lord knows, did we ever hear one politician come out against anything? One? Have you heard of one?
Nope, not a one.
Not a one.
Not a one. Nope. It's
No. Yeah.
And they.
No, I'll put it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. all the politicians are under the spell of this idea they're private businesses that can do what they want. And no, they're corporations chartered by the government, operating under special privileges and permission of the government, and the government should be able to control what they do.
All right.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just kind of thinking here, it's as they come in the back door, so to speak, because they're not using our government anymore. They're going to use what other tactics they can use to bully the American people. And I guess unless we rebel in some fantastic way, we're just, I woke up pretty discouraged this morning. Knowing that the Senate, they had no problem quickly. I mean, they can't do anything fast, but boy, they got that omnibus bill passed fast, very quickly. I think we must have lost Joe. Anyway, they did that very quickly, and so I don't know. Anyway, are you there, Melody?
Yeah, I am. I'm just taking all of this in, and I mean, and it's just like, I know what it used to be, and I know what it's supposed to be, and I know what's right, and who's there in D.C. and in Washington. I mean, we talk about this every single day. I mean, no one gets replaced, no one gets voted out once they get to Washington, and you have to think there's some good people going there.
Well, you want to think that.
You want to think that. Once in a while, you got to send a good one there. Ron Paul tried, and it doesn't seem. We elected Trump, President Trump, and it's here we are at those same times that Joe was talking about. Yeah, they paid the majority of our debt too. So and now we lower we take regulations off, so we're giving them. Things have to be weighed on what regulation is good, what regulation is bad. And no one does that because it's just a matter of how much money can we get into our pockets. What can I bring back to the state so I can help the rest of not the constituents, but the rest of the government workers. How can we all get, so I mean, we are at a point where we can talk about all the things the way it's supposed to be and the way we want it to be and legally by the Constitution, and that is all part of the education, but what do we do today to change these things? What do we do? What has to happen? I think for anything to go back, we can't go back, but we can clean up. We have to have some sort of a catastrophic event to take us to a place no one wants to go. And I think when we address our issues and we fix our problems, people don't want the pain. Nobody else wants to do any sacrificing. So they want somebody else to do all that. So we've gotten to a point where they're just, personally what I believe, they're doing everything they can do to keep it from collapsing. But collapsing is the ultimate place we're going. They should have let it go in 2008. They should have let it go in the 90s when we had recessions. If they would have allowed our economy to work us out of our recessions that we went into, instead of creating debt programs, we wouldn't be here today. But people wouldn't have the wealth and the power that they have today. But we know where we're heading, and we have to wake everybody up, and it's all part of planning and preparing for each individual, because they're not going to do anything for you. You can call. Beth gives out the number all the time. Beth? 202-224-3121. Call that switchboard and tell the president to veto this bill. Yeah. And tell him we want this stuff stopped. I mean, it's just absolutely nonsense. 202-224-3121. That is the main switchboard. There are other numbers, but that's the one I have memorized. 202-224-3121. Put it in your speed dial. We have Neil from Missouri on the line. Neil, how are you?
Oh, doing all right. A lot warmer today. which is good.
It
Don't
is.
have to build a
So
fire.
cloudy.
So, Melody asked, what has to happen to change this? Well, people are going to have to take personal responsibility.
Yes.
That's the problem. Everybody wants somebody else to do it. Isn't going to happen. You're going to have to go with Revelation 18:4, where God told you, come out of her, my people, be not partake of her sins, nor receive of her plagues.
Yep.
Which means you've got to get out of the system. Physically, economically, separate yourself. That means, getting into the wilderness. You got to get into a place where you got a piece of ground, get your patent on it so you can establish control over the property. A deed is not titled to real estate, only the patent is. So that's your first step. You have to get a piece of ground where you can control what goes on that piece of ground. And you've got a legal leg to stand on in court. Because no matter what they do, if you've got something you can present to the court and say, look, here's what the law says about patents. Here's what's going on, with these people trying to invade my property. As long as you've got just a deed, that's government controlled. Yeah. You're not going to be able to control that piece of real estate like you should be able to. Now, once you've got that under control, now you don't have to do this individually. There's groups all over the country doing this, survival groups, but even they aren't getting themselves set up legally so they have legal control of their property, I'm finding out. Most of them don't even know what a patent is. Mm-hmm. So once you got your patent on your property, then you need to start developing the property as a place to survive, because this system is going to collapse. All it's going to take is something to knock out the power grid, whether it be terrorists or be an electromagnetic pulse or a solar flare or an ice age, whatever it is. Once the power goes out, you're on your own. And if you're stuck in the city, you're cannibal food. That's the bottom line.
I saw something on that this morning, Neil, somebody that was saying to get yourself prepared for 30 to 90 days. They're talking about something coming down. I don't know that it'll happen. They make lots of predictions that don't happen on this particular site. That's why I don't usually share them. But they're just talking about, it's so volatile right now. You just don't know what's going to happen, and we need to be prepared.
Oh, yeah. I mean, your semi-rich people, they're buying luxury condos in these old missile silos out in Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I think even Missouri, possibly, there's some missile silos that have been bought up by private individuals, U.S. government.
I don't know about being bought up. I know they're here. I know they're close by where I am.
Right. They're near Whiteman Air Force Base, a lot of them. But the ones out west, I know, I mean, they've had these shows on TV where the guys are showing, these extreme survival shelters where they've got these underground apartments, got their own generators, they've got their own water. They've even got picture windows where you're looking at a picture from a camera above ground, so that when you open your curtains, you're looking outside, but you're actually looking through a camera lens. You're getting a camera picture of what's going on outside. Because, of course, you're hundreds of feet underground, so you're not going to have a window to the outside, except electronically. But if you can't afford that, then you just need to get you a little piece of ground somewhere, out in the wilderness. Try to find something near, near water. I mean, water's key. Either find a place with water or near enough to water where you don't have to go very far to get it. But you really need to have a place with a spring on it where you've got a source of underground water. And then start stockpiling food and the means to protect that food.
Yeah, that's our news on a Friday. Not very happy, but it is positive. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah, you've got to take responsibility for your own life, because when this goes down, nobody. I mean, just look at what happened when these hurricanes hit. How the government is overwhelmed with the requirement for emergency response. And if it wasn't for people, individuals and organizations from throughout the country sending help and aid to these areas, the government doesn't have the resources to handle that.
No, they don't.
You're getting a lot of private individuals coming down there and helping out in order to get through it. And when it goes down nationwide, you're not going to have that, because everybody's going to be scrambling to try to protect themselves. And don't think that terrorists can't take the power grid down, because they did it in Silicon Valley just a couple of years back. They took out the power grid, and the only reason Silicon Valley survived was because they were able to reroute power from another power substation to the valley to hook them back up, so they had electric. Because the substation that supplied Silicon Valley was shot up by terrorists who, they figured it must have been 13 of them, or at least there was 13 different guns used because they pulled 13 different calibers of bullets out of those transformers that were shot up in that substation. And that's all it takes. You just shoot those transformers out, and once the oil drains out of them, they burn up, shut your power off. And it takes months. Sometimes the major ones take years to replace because we don't manufacture in this country anymore. We have to rely on China. Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be grim when it goes down, and people need to be ready for it. I mean, I've been instructing people in survival for 40 years now, and it's just, with most of them, it just goes in one ear and out the other. It's just a weekend or a week-long vacation to come out and learn how to survive, and then they just go about their way and get busy doing other things. But
and you know what, Neil? I think people get frustrated. Frustrated is certainly the wrong word. I was speaking to a customer yesterday, and he says, Melody, he says, I've been preparing for 30 years and nothing happens. It's like you should be thankful nothing happens.
Exactly.
Because when it does happen, most of us aren't going to, even though we think we're prepared, we're probably not as prepared as what we should be. And I go back to, I used to do radio programs with a gentleman who was caught in the hurricane in Houston, in the early 2000s. And he says, Melody, he says, I thought I was prepared. I did everything that everybody told me I was supposed to do. He says, we had a little bug-out place, and that's where we were going. He says, but you know what? He says, I had so many things that probably half of the things I had I didn't need, which was a waste of money, and the things that I needed I didn't have. And that's what our program was about. It was just a program. It lasted maybe a year or something like that. It was on Saturday nights. Nobody listens to radio Saturday nights and so forth. But and that's what the program was about. What do you really need to survive in these things? And you have to think about it. And everybody forgets financially. You do have to be out of their system. And that's what's so important. It's just not having a few 50-cent pieces or dimes or quarters sitting around for spending. People who worked hard, they have pensions, they have retirements. That's all going to be wiped out. Wiped out.
Oh, yeah. Completely. But, the guy says, well, nothing happened. The cost of his food doubled.
Yeah.
I guarantee you in that 30 years' time.
Yeah.
He's eating food that he paid half what he'd have to pay for it now. If he's doing what he should be doing, when you stockpile food, you got to eat from the old store, the stuff you bought first. That's what you're eating as you're supplying new stuff to your larder, to your stores, so that you don't wind up with 20, 30-year-old food storage. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that either. That they need to be, in addition to long-term food storage items, they need their short-term stuff needs to be, cycled. So that you're eating from the old stuff first, and then as you find stuff on sale, especially, there's a lot of bargains out there. You can still eat cheap if you watch and just buy what's on sale, and stockpile that, and then eat from the old stores as you add to it. But and people that store, you can't really store gasoline anymore unless you put that fuel additive in it. In the old days, the regular gasoline would store a long time, so would diesel, but not anymore. You better put the additive in it if you're going to store it for any length of time. And again, use from your old store before you start on your new stuff, so that it doesn't go bad on you, because fuel will go bad.
And so much of this, Neil, is common sense, but we haven't been educated to how to do this, so it doesn't come into that area where we think, oh, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to make sure that I have, in case this happens, in case that happens, and so forth. And I also had clients that were missionaries, that they traveled the world, and they've been in various places where, they've had currency collapses and the resetting of the currency. And then they told me when they were buying and being prepared for here, when they came back to the States, they expect it to, when it happens here, to be 6 months. To be about 6 months to possibly a year, but they were thinking that there will be infrastructure challenges for about 6 months. and they base that on what they've seen in their third world countries that they were at and so forth. And that's because, we were on the conversation that people think that we're going to go into a Mad Max world for years and years and years and years. Just it might seem that way to some. He says you could very well see a disruption in the infrastructure for about 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah, not if the power shut down. The electricity goes down. The last FEMA report I saw estimates half the population will turn cannibal in the first 30 days. Because once the power goes down, nothing moves. I mean, it'll move for a week or two, but after that, when the fuel's gone, without electricity, there'll be no food supplies to the cities. You're going to have tens of millions of people heading into the countryside trying to find food or eat their neighbors one or the other. Yeah. They're not going to have much of a choice. They figure 90% of the population will be dead in the first year.
Yeah, there are places that do have, like, I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I think it's the state of Texas. They have their own grid. So there's going to be other places that won't be affected, I believe. That they'll be up and running. You've got little
solar flare.
Oh, it's not a solar flare.
No, solar flare will take everything out worldwide. An electromagnetic pulse will take out the entire U.S. Terrorists can take out down the entire power grid. So, expecting to rely on some other part of the country. And if it does happen that way, Texas is going to close the borders, I guarantee you.
I'm not saying relying on it. I'm saying that, perhaps there'll be other areas and so forth that might pop back, maybe sooner than later in some other areas. I don't know. I mean, I'm not
well, we know it's going to get ugly, and we know with any kind of disaster, whether it's the power grid or whether it's the storms or whatever that happens, even if it isn't in your area, things coming into your area are going to be stopped. And they say your grocery store is only stocked for like 3 days. I think that's what it is, Neil, isn't it? And so depending on which day, the last day you had a delivery, you're just 1 to 3 days from no food on the shelf in the grocery store. So when they have sales on canned goods and things, you can stockpile. I know a lot of people go after the food that can last for 20-some years, but you can stockpile food and it'll last quite a bit of time. And take a weekend and see how you handle no electricity or no anything, and see how well prepared you are as is. We're going into a break. Neil, thank you so much for all your advice.
Thank you, Neil.
And keeping us informed. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. The number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. It is Open Mic Friday, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. Melody, I had on CSC Talk Radio yesterday, I talked to Mindy Patterson, and I need to get her on your show. I just can't hardly get her on my show. She's so busy. But I kept calling her Mindy. I had too many M names. I kept calling her Melody. I'm sorry. Kept calling her Melody, and she was very gracious about my constant. I said, well, I just do a show with Melody, and I keep calling you Melody. And anyway. So you're on my mind all the time, girlfriend.
Well, isn't that sweet? And you didn't call me Mindy yet.
No, I didn't. I've been really worried about it. I have been. Oh, gracious.
So what's next?
What else is new? I have...
Well, you know what? This is some disturbing news.
Okay.
Comedian...
The omnibus bill wasn't disturbing enough.
Everybody watches the Weather Channel, correct?
Only when I have to.
The comedian and producer Byron. Well, I watched when the storms
I did see that.
Right?
Go ahead and tell that. I did see that this morning.
Comedian and producer Byron Allen acquired the Weather Channel TV network as he looks to expand his film and TV production company into a major media business. Allen's Entertainment Studios bought the network from Blackstone Group, which is one of the biggest elitist groups there is, Bain Capital, and again, the same, and Comcast. According to a statement Thursday, the price was approximately $300 million, according to a person familiar, blah, blah, blah. They never give names. It's kind of interesting. So now are we going to have a little bit of humor when they do our weather reports? When you have hurricanes coming, they're going to... Don't know. But just kind of interesting. But I did not know that the Weather Channel was owned by Blackstone and Comcast. I thought it was owned by Comcast, but I didn't know it was led by Blackstone and Bain. I did not know that. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting.
It was interesting. It was very interesting.
Here's something that's interesting. This came out the 21st. This is the first time I saw this. You might be a little more familiar with it as with the listeners. But YouTube, a popular media site for firearms enthusiasts, quietly introduced tighter restrictions on videos involving weapons. Yeah, becoming the latest battleground in this debate. So they're going to ban videos that promote or link to websites selling firearms and accessories.
You know, we talked about Walmart jumping in on this gun control bandwagon, and they sell videos and DVDs. I should say DVDs, not videos. They sell all those for the hunters. You reckon they're going to take those off the shelf too? You know, because they're shooting Bambi and other things out there in the wild, in the world, and turkeys and bears and whatever. I mean, whatever the case may be. So they're going to ban all that too? You know, that was real popular. It's real popular about the time Joe Biden was saying, get a shotgun, get a shotgun. Somebody immediately put a YouTube video on there with the girls using the AR and a girl using the shotgun. Of course, shotgun's got a really good kick to it. And the AR is like shooting a .22. I mean, it doesn't have much. It's fun to shoot. yes, I do like to shoot them. It's fun to shoot.
Well, YouTube says it's going to also prohibit videos, excuse me, with instructions on how to assemble firearms. And again, this is, YouTube, of course, is owned by Google, and so this is, this is how your big, wonderful social programs, your media, is going to control what people see, hear, and to mold people into try to mold anyway people into their beliefs. So,
well,
disturbing.
It is disturbing, and while we've been talking, I've been looking up some of these no votes against the omnibus bill, and I'm assuming the ones that didn't vote no vote yes, and it's amazing that there's no difference in the Republicans and the Democrats. And we have, and the reason I say this is because I have this Rasmussen is saying that 68 GOP House seats are at risk. I wished I had somebody or had the time myself to look up every one of these votes, because I will bet you the ones that voted for this bill are not all up for re-election. And the 91 that voted against it, or the 90 that voted against it, I'll bet they are up for re-election. They work with each other,
They do.
They work with each other. And, it's just, anyway, I'm thinking, oh, wow, 68. Well, what difference does it make? They vote Democrat anyway. What difference does it make who has the majority? In fact, Schumer said last night they do better having the minority than they ever did with the majority.
Oh, he was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they were delighted.
They were thrilled to death, and even Pelosi said she said Pelosi even said the reason they pushed this through so quick is because they want people to know what was in it. She said it again.
Yep.
Pass it, and we'll figure out what's in it.
Yep.
I mean, but they were giddy.
I know.
Literally giddy.
I was waiting for them to throw confetti in the air.
It was disgusting.
It really was disgusting. But the winners are not the American people. Are you tired of winning? I'm going to tweet President Trump. I don't see the winning in this omnibus bill. I can't say the darn thing. Omnibus bill. I don't see any winning. Not for the American people. Not for the forgotten man and woman that he always campaigned for. We are once again forgotten and ignored by Congress. So, anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring us back to that, but I was just, looking at that Rasmussen poll where 68 of them are up for re-election and are at risk to lose their seats, and I'm thinking, who cares? Who cares whether they lose their seats or not?
So, yeah, it's, and there's just so many other distractions going on. Who knows if they'll even remember the bill. Come on. I mean, it's just like, it truly is amazing. But gold's doing that well, and that's all I care
Well, let's give your package.
Gold is up $18.90. Silver's up still 22 cents at $16.67. Markets are strong. The Dow is up. Let me get a better update on that to see if the markets are still, let's see where the markets, no, Dow's up over almost triple digits. So whatever's going on, the paper markets like it, and
let's give your number.
1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. A way to prepare, a way to get out of the system is to be your own central banker, and the only way you can do that is to have some real money, and that's gold and silver. We have a $50 face value. 90% BU dimes, $665. For one package, there is shipping, and for you buy two or more, there is free shipping. So 800-375-4188.
And what is our address? I was looking for that. I only write it down when you say it, and I don't have it memorized yet.
P.O. Box 276.
Okay.
Mailing address?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
P.O. Box 276, Berlin, Maryland 21811. P.O. Box 276, Berlin, Maryland 21811.
Keep those cards and letters coming. I'm sorry, 21811. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, 21811. Okay. Well, I was looking for it. I write it down on our, I keep a paper for every show, and I write it down. And I was looking through all those papers, and I couldn't find it. So I need to write it down and tape it to the table so I can see it.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, and we're just about out of time, I believe.
We are. We're getting down to the 1 minute line there. So we want to wish everyone a wonderful weekend. And we pray nothing terrible does happen, but we want you to prepare as if it would. The Scripture tells us that.
And you know what? Maybe we can start out with a little playing the music a little bit longer today so we can get a little more of the music.
Yeah, we do like the music free.
Yeah, free.
We don't feel too free today after what Congress did to us, but you know what? We still are free.
We'll see if our producer's paying attention.
I don't think he is. That's okay. The music's going to be playing automatically now anyway, so he's right there with us. We appreciate all of you. We really, really do, and we thank you for being with us every day, every morning, and putting up with our silliness as well as trying to help us sort through all the news, because it is getting to be pretty disturbing, all the distractions that we have. And we just thank all of you for being with us. And there I hear the music. We thank you for being with us. Have a wonderful weekend, you too, Melody. And
same to you and to
kiss
the
a baby this weekend, all right? Kiss
Absolutely.
Thank you. We will see you all on Monday. God bless.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.